The story begins with a brave girl named Sally, who used to be a princess in the royal family of Aldyke. Now, she was on an important mission to find her lost friend, Kibitsu Mikoto. At that time, Sally was determined, and nothing could stop her. One day, while traveling, Sally saw something heartbreaking, and it's a human-like rabbit lying on the ground, too weak to move. Feeling sorry for the creature, she reached into her bag and gave it some carrots. The rabbit's name was Frau, and she was part of a rare race called Ajin. Many humans thought Ajins were dangerous and unintelligent, treating them like monsters. Frau knew how risky it was to travel alone, so when Sally showed her kindness, she felt grateful. To repay Sally, Frau offered to join her on her journey. To keep Frau safe from people who might harm her, Sally asked her to wear a hood as a disguise. Together, the two set off on their adventure, facing challenges along the way. But no matter what happened, Sally never gave up on finding her friend. One day, Sally and Frau arrived at a quiet village. The people there were kind, and one of the villagers welcomed them warmly. He offered them a place to stay for the night, along with a delicious meal and a cozy bed. The next morning, something terrible happened. Fierce monsters called Oni attacked the village. The villagers tried to fight back, but the Oni were too strong. Sally wanted to help, but before she could do anything, she fainted. Frau quickly stepped in. With one powerful move, she defeated the Oni. The villagers were amazed and thankful, but their feelings changed when they realized Frau was an Ajin. Out of fear of what other humans might do, they forced Sally and Frau to leave the village. As they wandered, unsure of where to go, soldiers from the Rimbaral kingdom appeared. The soldiers thought Frau might be an Ajin, so they captured both Sally and Frau for questioning. It seemed like their journey had taken a turn for the worse, but things were about to change. At the same time, Hotrin, a commander from the Rimbaral kingdom, had heard about what Sally and Frau did to save the village. He knew they had been treated unfairly and decided to secretly free them from the soldiers. Hotrin didn't care about their race. He respected their bravery and wanted to help them however he could. Sally and Frau were deeply grateful, feeling hopeful that there were still kind people who could see past the hatred others had. Meanwhile, trouble was brewing. Two dangerous Oni, named Maki and Set, were planning to attack the Rimbaral kingdom. The kingdom had strong walls, but Maki's magic was powerful enough to break them. However, something unexpected happened. When Maki tried to use her magic on the walls, her powers ran out, and she turned into a small child. So wasn't bothered by this and decided to continue the attack alone, leaving Maki to wait outside the gates. On the other hand, the Rimbaral royal troops struggled to fight against Set's incredible strength. Suddenly, Sally appeared on the scene, unconscious but with a strange, familiar feeling stirring inside her. It was the same feeling she had experienced when facing the Oni in the previous village. Before she could fully understand it, Hotrin and Frau called out to her, sensing the danger nearby. Soon after, Frau went into action, bravely fighting Set, but even her skills weren't enough to defeat such a powerful Oni. It seemed like all hope was lost until Sally felt that strange sensation again, but this time it was stronger. Suddenly, a surge of energy flowed through her, and without realizing it, she struck Set and sliced off his hand with ease. Everyone was shocked to see Sally's eyes glowing with a peach-shaped symbol, and it's a sign that an otherworldly power had awakened within her. Meanwhile, Maki was hiding behind a tree, waiting for Set to return. But instead of Set, she was confronted by a girl named Mikoto, the very person Sally had been searching for. Maki quickly realized who Mikoto was. Turns out, Mikoto was the infamous Oni hunter, feared for her ability to destroy Oni without mercy. Shortly after, Maki and Mikoto began a fierce battle. Maki used her Oni powers to create multiple shadow clones of herself, hoping to confuse Mikoto. But Mikoto saw through the trick and discovered Maki's weakness. Using her own powers, Mikoto neutralized Maki's technique. Then, in a daring move, Mikoto stabbed her own leg to trap herself in place, daring Maki to attack. And Maki, knowing she was about to lose, used all her remaining power in one last attack. But to her surprise, Mikoto wasn't harmed at all. Exhausted, Meiki's energy drained away, and she turned into a small child. Mikoto decided to spare her life, but destroyed her horns and eyes, which were the source of her Oni powers. With her powers gone, Meiki became an ordinary human, rejected by both Oni and humans. Meanwhile, Sally had defeated Set by slashing him. When she woke up in the Rimberal Kingdom, she was still in disbelief that she had managed to defeat such a powerful Oni. Not long after, Hotran brought Sally and Frau back to the prison, where they met Meiki, the Oni who had destroyed the royal castle. To Sally's surprise, Hotran had postponed Meiki's punishment, allowing her to recover first. He asked Sally and Frau to look after Meiki and keep an eye on her. When Meiki woke up, she continued to brag about being an Oni, even though she had lost her powers. She also shared what she knew about Sally and Frau's experiences. After hearing her story, Sally made a bold choice that she decided to help Meiki escape from the Rimberal Kingdom. However, just as they were about to leave, Hotran suddenly appeared and stopped them. At the same time, the Rimberal Kingdom suffered a terrible attack from the Oni. The destruction was devastating, and the entire kingdom was left in ruins. No one knew who was responsible, as there were no survivors to explain what had happened. The tragedy took everything from Hotran, leaving him without a home. With nowhere else to go, he decided to join Sally and her group on their journey. As they traveled together, Hotran realized he needed to grow stronger and earn money to survive. To achieve this, he decided to enter a martial arts tournament. Meanwhile, Meiki, who was now traveling with Sally and Frau, was slowly learning how humans lived and tried to adjust to their way of life. During their time in the city, Sally finally met Mikoto, the person she had been searching for. On the other hand, far away, powerful Oni leaders were performing a summoning ritual to gather 100 of their kind. Humans had taken over most of their land, and the Oni were planning to reclaim it. During their meeting, they also talked about a human named Mikoto, also known as Momotaro, who had the strength to defeat even the strongest Oni, including Set and Meiki. As the day goes by, the Oni were growing more afraid of Mikoto after the devastating attack on the Rimberal Kingdom. And Sumeragi, a powerful Oni leader, showed proof of Mikoto's strength, describing how she easily defeated high-ranking Oni by slicing through them. As for Todoroki, another high-ranking Oni, was furious when he learned of Meiki's death and swore to take revenge by killing Mikoto himself. At the same time, a masked Oni named Joselino also wanted revenge on Mikoto for the death of her partner. Even though Oni usually worked together, Sumeragi seemed to have his own plans. He didn't seem loyal to either the humans or the Oni, and his true goals were a mystery. The next day, Hotran was wandering through the city when he came across Joselino, who seemed lost and was looking for Sumeragi. Being kind-hearted, Hotran couldn't ignore someone in need, so he decided to help Joselino. In return, Joselino promised to support Hotran in his upcoming martial arts tournament. What Hotran didn't know was that Joselino's group was behind the destruction of the Rimberal Kingdom. Thankfully, Mikoto had stopped their plans. Later, while Hotran was busy with his tournament, Sally had a surprising encounter with Sumeragi. He shared his vision of a world where humans and Oni could live together in peace. Sally, who also dreamed of unity, was moved by his words. However, their meeting was suddenly interrupted when Mikoto appeared, ready to confront Sumeragi. And Mikoto, known as the leader of the Oni, was determined to defeat Sumeragi. But this left Sally feeling conflicted. She didn't know whether to side with Mikoto, who wanted to destroy the Oni, or to follow Sumeragi's dream of humans and Oni living peacefully together. As Sally struggled with her decision, memories of her past as a princess of the Aldai Kingdom came rushing back. Even though she was royalty, Sally had always dreamed of seeing the world beyond the palace walls. One day, she tried to run away from the kingdom, but was chased by her own soldiers. That's when she met Mikoto, who saved her. Grateful, Sally begged Mikoto to take her on an adventure, wanting to experience the life she had always dreamed of. Not long after, the Aldai Kingdom was visited by a powerful Oni named Yaki. He came with a chilling warning that he would take over the kingdom just as he had done with a neighboring one. Yaki demanded that Aldai sacrifice 30 people every month to the Oni or face destruction. Hearing that, the Aldai king was deeply troubled by Yaki's demands, and fear spread throughout the kingdom. The next day, an army of Oni appeared at the kingdom's gates. Sally, always brave, went to investigate. When she arrived, she saw Mikoto already battling the Oni, fighting fiercely to protect the kingdom. At that moment, Sally watched Mikoto fight and felt worried. She begged Mikoto to step back, but Mikoto refused. With one powerful strike, Mikoto defeated the entire Oni army with ease. Her fighting was fierce and ruthless, and Sally couldn't help but notice that Mikoto seemed to enjoy the battle a little too much. In the end, Mikoto was victorious. However, Mikoto's presence left Yaki shaken. He remembered how Mikoto had destroyed his own kingdom in the past, and the memory filled him with fear. Even though the kingdom was safe for now, everyone knew it was only a matter of time before the Oni attacked again. After the fight, Mikoto left, taking a stray dog she had found along the way. Sally said goodbye, but felt a pang of envy as she watched Mikoto walk away. Sally dreamed of going on adventures like Mikoto, but she felt too weak to follow in her footsteps. The sight of the Oni corpses Mikoto had left behind reminded Sally of how far apart their abilities were. A month later, Sally made a life-changing decision. She left her kingdom behind and gave up her title as princess, with her father's blessing, to start her own journey. Now, back to the present. Sally and her friends arrived in a new town, only to find it plagued by vampires. The victims had all been drained of their blood, leaving the townspeople terrified and suspicious. To make things worse, the group faced hostility because of Frau, who was an Ajin. The town had a history of prejudice, and Sally and her friends could feel the weight of discrimination as they walked through the streets. Not long after, Miki told Sally to attack the townspeople, but Sally refused. She didn't want to use her powers to harm humans. Miki was surprised by her response and realized that Sally was different from other humans. Later, while Miki and Frau were shopping, they ran into a rude merchant who treated them unfairly. Miki became angry, as she wasn't used to human prejudice from her time as an Oni. Frau, however, calmed her down and explained that not all humans are like that, and she would need to learn to deal with such behavior. That night, Miki went to meet an Oni named Kei, who had the power to control blood. To her shock, she discovered that Kei was behind the attacks on the townspeople. He suggested that Miki should massacre the entire town, sparing only her friends. For a moment, Miki was tempted by his words, but fortunately, Frau arrived in time and pulled her away from Kei. Frau and Kei then fight in a fierce battle, each fighting to protect what they believed in. However, Frau's abilities were not strong enough to defeat Kei, and Miki couldn't do anything to help. When Sally heard about the danger, she rushed to find Frau and Miki. Sadly, when she arrived, it was too late cause Kei had already defeated Frau with a powerful attack. Angry and upset, Sally tried to fight Kei, but he had set a clever trap and she couldn't move. At that time, Miki, seeing how cruel Kei was, decided to fight back. She attacked him from behind, choosing to stand up for her friends. Meanwhile, in another realm, Frau accepted what had happened to her, but asked her friend, Goddess Atla, to unlock the hidden power within her. With this new strength, Frau came back, using her true Ajin powers to help Sally and Miki. There, Frau bravely defeated Kei with one powerful move, protecting her friends. However, the fight left her very tired, and she fainted afterward. Before Kei disappeared, he admitted that he had once broken the rules of his kind by falling in love with a human and had made a terrible mistake that hurt someone he cared about. A few days later, Frau finally woke up, but she still wasn't feeling well. Miki and Sally decided to go out to find medicine for her. While they were walking, Miki asked Sally if she had really defeated Set. Sally admitted that she had, but said she wouldn't apologize. She explained that she only used her power when it was absolutely necessary. As they continued, they ran into the same merchant who had treated Frau unfairly before. This time, the merchant insulted Frau again. Sally couldn't stay quiet anymore and decided to use her power to teach the merchant a lesson. Miki, seeing this, finally understood what Sally meant about using power only when it was needed. Meanwhile, Mikoto and her dog were on a mission to get rid of the Oni, the monsters that threatened everyone's safety. During their journey, they met a girl named Melia, who couldn't remember anything about herself except her name. One night, Mikoto had a terrifying dream that revealed the truth that Melia was actually an Oni, one of the enemies she was sworn to fight. Mikoto was ready to fulfill her mission and eliminate the danger, but her loyal dog stopped her. The dog reminded Mikoto that Melia was just a lost little girl who needed their help, no matter what her past might be. The next day, Mikoto and her dog continued their journey, unaware that one of the Oni they had been hunting was following them. This Oni had been sent on a mission to capture Melia. During the intense battle, Melia suddenly remembered who she really was. Turns out, she was Hatsuki, a powerful Oni who had once crossed paths with Sally. Then, a fierce battle broke out between Hatsuki and the other Oni. Mikoto, however, focused on protecting Hatsuki, even though she was an Oni herself. The fight left Hatsuki gravely injured and barely holding on. Desperate to survive, she pulled off the remaining horns of the attacking Oni and begged Mikoto to help her become human. After defeating the enemy Oni, Mikoto took care of Hatsuki's wounds. Despite her mission to fight Oni, Mikoto couldn't bring herself to harm Hatsuki, especially when she saw how much Hatsuki wanted to change. Grateful for the second chance, Hatsuki decided to join Mikoto on her journey, ready to leave her past behind and embrace a new future. Meanwhile, in the heart of the city near the Colosseum, chaos erupted. A massive explosion shook the streets, sending clouds of dust and debris everywhere. The attack was led by Todoroki, a powerful Oni seeking revenge on Mikoto. As the two sides collided, a fierce and dangerous battle began. On the other hand, Hatrin found himself in a fight with Todoroki. Their swords clashed loudly as they battled. Hatrin teased Todoroki, daring him to attack, and then blocked and struck back with skill. After a tough fight in a narrow alley, Hatrin finally knocked Todoroki out. At the same time, Mikoto arrived in the city, looking for Oni to defeat. She saw Damon, an Oni who looked like he was sleeping, and raised her sword to attack. But before she could do anything, Damon used his magic, and Mikoto fell into a deep sleep. In another part of the city, Meiki ran into Shinki, one of Todoroki's followers. At that time, she tried to talk to him and avoid a fight, but Shinki wouldn't listen. He called Meiki a traitor for helping humans and attacked her. Meiki fought back as hard as she could, but Shinki was too strong. Meanwhile, Sally faced Sumeragi, a very powerful Oni who had joined the battle. Sally tried her best to fight, but she couldn't win and was defeated. Frau also tried to fight Sumeragi's group, but was overpowered too, leaving everyone in a tough situation. As the battles continued, Todoroki was searching for Mikoto. Along the way, he ran into Hatrin and, mistaking him for Mikoto, attacked with a powerful lightning strike. Instead of running away, Hatrin charged at Todoroki with renewed determination. Their swords clashed, sending sparks flying as they fought fiercely. Just as Hatrin struggled against Todoroki, a magical woman named Winnie appeared out of nowhere and stepped in front of Todoroki. Winnie told Hatrin she didn't want to interrupt his fight, but handed him a special sword to help even the odds. With the new weapon, Hatrin felt ready to face Todoroki again. On the other hand, Frau was being attacked by Sumeragi's crew. Despite the danger, she refused to give up. Drawing on her true Ajin powers granted by Goddess Alta, Frau fought back and defeated the Oni. At the same time, Meiki was in a tough fight with Shinki. She couldn't access her true Oni powers and was struggling against Shinki's relentless attacks. But Meiki had a clever plan. At the perfect moment, she delivered a powerful punch that defeated Shinki instantly. As the fights ended, Sally and Sumeragi stopped battling. Sumeragi wasn't trying to hurt Sally, cause he just wanted to see how strong she was with Momotaro's power. With the fighting over, everyone finally had a chance to rest and think about what had happened. Meiki and Hatrin had become good friends and trusted each other. They decided to work together to bring peace between humans and Oni, hoping for a better world. At the same time, Hatrin was still fighting Todoroki. Todoroki thought Meiki was gone and used a powerful move called Raijin. But Hatrin was too strong and defeated him easily. When Todoroki woke up, he was surprised that Hotrin had spared his life. He was even happier when he learned that Maki, now called Carrot, was alive and safe. After everything was over, the group talked about where to go next. They decided to travel to a faraway place called Legia, a land where everyone is treated equally and there is no discrimination. The next day, Winnie, Sally, and Hotrin journeyed to Legia, excited to see the land they had heard so much about. When they arrived, they were amazed by what they saw. Legia was a place where everyone was treated equally, no matter their race or background. The people worked together, shared resources, and focused on helping each other. Inspired by Legia's way of life, Sally and her friends promised to bring its message of unity and peace back to their homeland. In another part of the city, Mikoto woke up after being under Damon's spell. She found herself in an inn with Melia, who explained that chaos had taken over the city. Because of this, the martial arts tournament had been canceled. As Sally and her friends prepared to leave for Legia, Todoroki approached Sally to thank her. He gave her a red lightning symbol, a token of his support for her mission to bring peace between humans and Oni. Todoroki also shared his gratitude for Sally's help in saving Maki, the one he deeply cared for. Sadly, his journey ended in tragedy. Sumeragi, who secretly opposed peace between Oni and humans, attacked and killed Todoroki, revealing his hidden agenda. The scene then takes us back in time, before Sally and her friends faced Todoroki's gang. During their journey, Sally and her friends wandered into a mysterious forest known as Winnie's Forest. There, they met Winnie, a curious and magical being. Winnie was intrigued by Sally's Momotaro power and revealed that she was once Frau's partner. She offered to help Sally train and unlock her full potential. Without wasting time, Winnie began teaching Sally how to control her hidden power. However, their training was interrupted when members of the elf and lizard races arrived, asking for Winnie's help. They needed her to defeat Juki, a powerful Oni who had been sealed deep in the forest. Determined to help, Winnie invited Sally and her friends to join her on a dangerous mission to stop Juki. As they ventured deeper into the forest, they discovered that Juki had taken the form of a massive tree, connected to the earth itself. This made defeating him a nearly impossible task. Even as they fought with all their strength, it became clear that Juki was no ordinary enemy cause he had already broken free from his chains and was growing stronger by the moment. As the battle against the powerful Juki raged on, Sally uncovered a shocking truth. The chaos had been carefully planned by Sumeragi, with help from a woman named Hatsuki, who was also known as Melia. Realizing the danger, Sally stepped up as a leader, rallying her friends to fight together against the mighty Oni. In the midst of the fight, Sally remembered something Mikoto had once told her, that a way to bring peace between the Oni and humans. With this in mind, Sally decided to try reasoning with Juki. She made a heartfelt plea for peace, but Juki refused to listen. His heart was filled with hatred for humanity, and it seemed impossible to change his mind. As Juki spoke bitterly, Sally felt a spark ignite inside her. She drew on the full strength of her Momotaro powers and stood tall with renewed determination. Once again, she tried to bring peace between the two sides, but her efforts were interrupted when Melia launched a sudden attack. Refusing to give up, Sally fought back with everything she had. Using the full power of her Momotaro abilities and the support of her friends, Sally finally defeated Juki, bringing an end to the battle. With Juki finally defeated, Sally became a hero, earning the respect and gratitude of both the elf and lizard races. To celebrate their victory, the two races organized a grand party, where Sally and her friends were treated as honored guests. As they laughed, danced, and enjoyed the celebration, a dark figure watched from the shadows. Maki, someone connected to Sumeragi, had sinister plans to steal Sally's powerful Momotaro abilities for his own evil purposes. Even with this threat looming, Sally and her friends decided it was time to leave Winnie's home. They were ready to face whatever challenges the future had in store. With the Oni still lurking, Sally knew she had to stay strong and protect the people she cared about and the world they lived in. And so, the story ends with Sally and her friends starting a new journey. The anime ends. The moral lesson from this anime is never trust a rabbit with a hood cause it might just save your life, and eat your carrots. Also, if an Oni turns into a toddler, maybe it's time for a snack break, not a fight.